Hi, welcome to jewelleryprintship.com. My name's Mark. I've been a jeweller for 13 years and I just want to show you guys some of the basics. We're going to go through the bench, we're going to go through some of the tools, a few of the more advanced tools, and yeah, we'll give you some tips to help you get to your jewellery goals quicker. Let's go. Right, the very first tool I've got was this vernier gauge. Electrical one, just press the on button and it measures everything really accurately, and you need one of these. They are so important, you really need one of these. You can pick them up quite cheap now. I think you can get a smaller one for about £20 to £30. They're probably about so long. You're not going to be doing massive pieces, so that will probably suffice for now until you feel that you need a bigger one. Okay, the 4 basic needle files you need when you first start is a safety back. It only has teeth on the front side and not on the back, hence the name safety file, so you're only striking with the face surface like so. Next one is a 3 square, which is basically a triangle. Same thing, you can get into nice little angles with that, nice and sharp, produce some really nice clean work. Then we've got the square, which is the same for right angles. Brilliant little file that. And the next one is the sage file, which is curved on both sides, but one is a steeper curve than the other curve. So if you're going inside of a ring, and it will be a different size to, like say you would go into a lady's ring and you'll file in, take a bit out of the inside, and then on a gents you'll turn it over and file the inside of that. Or if you're just doing a pendant that needs a bit of a curve, depending what sort of curve you need, that's why you've got 2 different sizes to that one. And they're your 4 basic ones that you need when you first start. Okay, now I'm going to go through with you some of the more advanced sort of needle files. Now these are all custom made, that I've just got them on the grinder. That is your safety back, but I've made it thinner so I can get into tighter angles, and it's got a flatter edge here just so I can hit more surface area. This one is just your normal gapping file. Your teeth run just along this really fine edge along here. It's called a gapping file because you literally make the gap. So if you've got a wedding ring with lines going away around it, you'll use one of them to file the groove. This is another little sage file, but I've grinded the back so I can get in to really nice tight corners, say like a nice semicircle. Now I've got a square file here, but I've grinded the teeth off 2 edges. So if I'm going into something really tight where I don't want it to hit the walls, then this will just take down a little bit of where I want it to, where the teeth are. This one is another safety back, but I've made it a little bit thinner and I've made it more narrow so I can get into some really tight spots in there. I just need to take a little bit away. Same again with this. It's another safety back, but ultra fine and thin so I can get into those tight spots. And this one's a 3 square, but I've taken all the teeth off, so it's completely smooth, and you can do is use that to scrape little bits out or to burnish, just to give it a little rub. Very handy. And this one is a solder probe, basically a little bit of wood that I found laying around, and this is a bicycle spoke which is made from titanium. Titanium will not melt and mix in with your solders. You can use that with any solder apart from platinum. You can get away with medium platinum but not hard, or 1700 platinum. If you're a beginner, don't worry about it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, let's move on to hand files. This is a pillar file. It's a bit like the safety back, but with teeth on both sides. Very handy, good tool that. Then we've got the 3 square. Then again, that's just a triangle. And then we've got a half round, which says exactly what it is on the tin really. It's flat on one side, half curved on the other side. Very good for getting the inside of rings, making them nice and round. 3 files that I suggest that you get first of all, until you get a little bit more advanced, and we can get these. So we've got another half round here, but a lot thinner, a lot smaller, get into smaller gaps. And I've cut the handle down on that, just so it fits on my hand better. You can buy small handles, you can buy bigger handles depending on how big your hands are. But because I've got little girly hands, I use little girly handles. No offence to girlies, of course. Now, this is a sage file. Exactly the same as the needle file. A bigger curve on one side and a shallower curve on the other side. And I've got a big pillar file, which is a rougher cut, so when I really want to file something down and take a lot of weight out of, I can use that. And the same with this half round, that's a heavier cut and you can take a lot more out with that. And I've got a 3 square, which is a really fine cut, so when I want to take the most minimal off of a piece of jewellery, I use that. And the key is with files is the bigger file you can use, the better, because if I've got that big flat surface here, then as soon as I've hit that across something, it's going to be flat and true, so you know it's going to be completely square. But obviously you can't use it on big, you can't use big files on the little dinky bits of jewellery. So obviously that's why we have the needle files. Same thing, that's industrial. It's not really industrial, but you get what I mean. This one is for little dinky work. This one big work, that one little work. Okay, so after you fold something, you have to buff it. This is a buff stick with some rough coarse paper on it. So you start with coarse, then you work your way down. This is your medium paper on the buff stick. You use that one next after your rough. Then after your medium, you use your smooth. And then after your smooth, you use your polished paper. Then I've got a half round to go into the side of rings, and then you've got a round which does the same job. Sometimes it's nice to use this one because you can get your finger right on there and really give it a good buff. This one you can do the same, but it doesn't feel quite as nice. It's probably my preference. You might feel different about it. And that's your buff sticks. Next you need is your hammers. That's a good size to start off with. It's about a medium. Get one of those first. Then you've got something that's slightly bigger. Give a bit more of a whack with that one. Now if you want to hit something and cause less damage, you use a mallet. Now that's just a bit of really hard leather up there. Quite old, that one. I really need to change it because it's no longer as flat as it should be. And then you've got your smaller hammer, which is called a toffee hammer, to do some really light, delicate tapping. At first I would say get one of these and get one of them, and then later on down the line you can purchase these when you need to. Okay, next are your pliers. You've got some round pliers, definite must as a beginner, very good for bending up little rings, helping out with chains and stuff. All three of these are must as a beginner. Flats, just for gripping bits and pieces. And then we've got some snips. These are side snips, they're good for cutting your wire. You don't have to have side snips, you can have parallel snips, horizontal snips, not parallel snips. You can get a pair of them if you want. They're musts. Then it's good to invest in another pair of flats, because you'll want to get hold of two things. Like if you had a ring that you want to bend, very handy, very definite must. You start off with one, and then you'll find that later on you will need one of these. Then, when you're more intermediate, you want some snipe nose. Get hold of some really delicate pieces, some really fine little rings, bits of chain. Oh, this is a must as well. It's probably still intermediate, is half round. So you've got half round here and the flat on that side. Brilliant from bending up rings. So you bend it round the half round and then the flat will bend up the outside. Then we've got the same sort of thing, but this is with a round and a flat. It's handy to bend up little rings. Then some small rounds. Probably want to get them at the same time as your snipe nose. Then you've got some parallels for more of your heavy duty stuff. It depends what sort of stuff you're going to be making. First, if you're going to be doing slightly bigger pieces, get a pair of these. You would clamp that and that'll hold it nice and tight for you for when you're filing. So if you're filing something like so, you grab it and then file away. Then what you might want to do is you'll be doing something where you can't hold it properly and you'll end up making your own pliers. So I've just grinded them, bent the ends over so I can hold things. But you might not need to do that, but you find that when you do more unusual jewellery you have to have more unusual tools. And there's your pliers. Okay, next we've got your solder cutters, which will cut all your solder up for you nicely. I'll just grab a bit, show you. Bit of silver, hard silver solder. So go in here, cut a line down there, go along. Generally try and do it a little bit more even than that on camera, and I'll fluff it up. And then just cut the top along there, and then you'll have little squares, bits of solder, and then just put them on where you need to solder. There you go, solder cutters.